Hello, everyone, and welcome to Folks. I'm Sonya Masingale. Today begins our 9th year of broadcasting, and we open this season with something a little bit different. We're on location at A.B. Palmer Park in Shreveport, Louisiana, where celebrity Dick Gregory is helping people reclaim their neighborhood. Looking around today, it's hard to imagine that this park was the scene of a riot because of a drug deal gone bad. About a year ago in A.B. Palmer Park, the people of the black working class neighborhood of Cedar Grove looked on in horror as youths in the area ran wild. The looting, burning, and violence began because a young white woman shot and killed a young black man over a drug transaction. The trial is still in litigation. Meanwhile, the tension between law-abiding citizens and the youth still dealing dope in the area increased. Homeowners were afraid to walk outside after dark and kept their children out of the park. Dick Gregory came to town for a business meeting, and that was the turning point. By actually moving into A.B. Palmer Park and bringing media attention and celebrities to the area, Dick Gregory has driven the drug dealers out, helping the people take their street corners and park back. Gregory's crusade has been somewhat controversial, with around 9 arrests for staging sit-ins in shops that carry drug paraphernalia. The stores either closed or pledged to stop selling such items as crack pipes. Every night for months, hundreds of anti-drug crusaders led by Gregory and several local ministers marched the streets of Cedar Grove singing hymns and patriotic songs. Gregory and his supporters now declare A.B. Palmer Park a drug-free zone. Joining us here today to talk about the war on drugs here in A.B. Palmer Park is Mr. Dick Gregory, civil rights activist, health promoter, and businessman. We also have with us Mr. Charles Gruber. He is Shreveport's chief of police, and also joining us is Reverend James Green of Union Mission Baptist Church here in Shreveport, one of Mr. Gregory's right-hand lieutenants in the war on drugs. Welcome to Folks.
Thank you.
The first question that I have for you, Mr. Gregory, is one that comes up in everybody's mind who's not right here in Shreveport. Why Shreveport, why now, and why this park?
So the question I have for you is, why is it when you introduce 2 black folks nothing happens, when you introduce this white brother, the thunder? I mean, what's this about? How come I couldn't get me some thunder? Did you see that? She introduced me, nothing happened. You introduce him, boom, like it's okay, right? They introduce you, and it's quiet again. Why Shreveport? Well, I guess we don't know. We were in Shreveport on June the 7th to take care of some entrepreneur business. We met Reverend Gant, Reverend Green, and they had mentioned one day we should march on this park. We had no intentions of doing it at the time. We started a fast, a 40-day fast, Father Clemens and myself. While we were here, I brought my wife in town to take care of banking business, and it just started here. So when we ask that question, we don't know, but we know one thing, that there is no such thing as a Shreveport reefer or Chicago crack. It's uniformed all over, and we say now what we say then, that what starts here will be felt all the way in Columbia. I mean, it's really about people not being afraid. It's really about if you wouldn't permit Russian KGB. And these are serious questions we have to ask. If the KGB, who's been to school, trained to be spies, trained, top technology and everything, if we can stop them from a street corner, then how come we can't do the same thing with some thugs and some hoodlums? And the reason is that we've been frightened. We're afraid. But what I don't understand, they teach us to be afraid of communism, and we react to it. We end up on our own being afraid of drug pushers and the horror of drugs, and we just become wimps. We are told that Jamaican nationalists can come to our country with big guns and just gun people down in the street. Jamaicans have no army. They have no Boy Scouts. Now, how can some Jamaicans come to the most powerful white nation with the mightiest army on the planet, a black country with no army, and terrorize our streets? There's something wrong. And so we say to the people that once you start being afraid, now that don't mean just run out to the corner. That don't mean get a vigilante group together. That means sit. We know what the church can do. The latest incident is what happened in Poland. The church came out 9 years ago and said to communism, you have a right to exist, but get off our back. And that's all we say here.
Chief Gruber, can you give us some perspective on the drug problem in Shreveport? I mean, how bad is it?
Well, I suppose you have to look at Shreveport as it compares to the rest of the nation and understand that our country, the United States, is the most serious drug abuser country in the world. More drugs are consumed in the United States than all the rest of the countries put together. If you understand that first, that we're the worst off, and then understand that we are a metropolitan community that has all of the problems of a metropolitan community, that our problem here is as consistently serious as any other city in the nation. No different than Chicago or Los Angeles or Miami or New York. It's on a smaller scale because we're a smaller city. But the problems are the same, the issues are the same, the drugs are the same, our people are the same. They die, they take the drugs the same way, and no one's forcing them on them. I don't see any, as Dick just said, the Colombians aren't coming in here, or the Panamanians or the Bolivians or anybody else coming in here with their guns and forcing our people to stand up against the wall and smoke reefer or take crack. They're doing it on their own, and that's part of the problem.
Reverend Green, next question is for you. The local newspapers report that it was fairly well known that this area was heavily used by drug traffickers, that, this is not something new. It didn't just happen because someone said it was going to be here. Before Mr. Gregory's arrival, what was being done in the city to help areas such as this?
Well, there were things being done. We had a small-scale program at the church where I preach at the Most Union Mission Baptist Church. We had a organized Hug a Kid with Love, Not with Drugs program, and we were moving in this direction. But after God permitted Brother Gregory to come, then we were able to do it on a wide range, whereas we were able to get the press out. People got brave and was ready to stand up and fight. So I think it was all like we were ready to fight. We just needed a leader to come and say, hey, let's go get him.
Okay, Mr. Gregory, that brings me to my next question. What happens to the people of this area when you go home?
Oh, same thing happened to the people in Poland during World War II. The people in Europe when the American troops left, people all over the world. Once you rise up, once you cap fear and truth and justice and that thirst for the right to walk down your neighborhood, the right to sit back on the front porch, you don't lose that. You see, one of the things that we do, we're going to have to know there's a difference between a soldier and a cop. And soldiers don't need no help, but soldiers is not in a box. Soldiers run up on the hill and take it. Kill everybody in your way, do whatever you have to do, burn it down, and there's no question that. Cops have to have certain okay from people. And when you move into an area, see, you can go in and make one raid and come out. When you move into an area where you have to deal with a long-term problem, if the people are afraid and in the house and not cooperating, the police become very ineffective. And what we've been able to do here, we got police chiefs coming in from around the country. We got mayors sending people in from around the country. We have community people coming in. It's not going to go back in the box. It's the same thing with the civil rights movement. What happened after Malcolm left? What happened after Martin was killed? I mean, it's there. And all those forces that work against that didn't say Martin's dead now, let's resegregate the schools. I mean, you taste. The problem is I have to have enough wisdom to know how long you stay somewhere before it catches. It's like something in orbit. And how long you stay somewhere where you stay too long. And every day, people come out. And it's bigger than here because you got the world press come in, and then other people say the same thing. The important thing is you have to stay long enough so people won't perceive, oh, that's real easy. And it's not real easy. You got a police chief that said, thanks, not that you're working against me. And you have Reverend Green and Reverend Gann. The leadership said to the police department, here's what we're going to do. And the press fell in. And when you look at the press, the police, the local church, and the people that come out. Now, when you put that together in a stew, you got a stew that's going to have to be cooked. If you take any one of those elements out, if you take this gentleman out and turn his head around and he see us working against us, then we're in trouble. If you take the church out, then we're in trouble. If you take the people out, then we're in trouble. So we had a mixture here that came together in a marriage that worked. And out of this, you know, the whole country, if we found a cure in Shreveport or Gooseneck, Tennessee, for AIDS, the world would come in and say, how did you do it? And it's the same thing here. And I can say to you this, the answer is going to come out of here. And once Dick Gregory leaves, it's not about the word. Dick Gregory is bigger than me. It's bigger than Shreveport. The people is thirsty to turn this around, and they're going to see they have an answer. And that's drop your fears, come out in the street. You know, and let me just say this. These are our children. I say to black folks and I say to white folks. These are Americans. These ain't some people from Mars that's coming down here selling dope in our street corner. These are our children that came out of American women's belly. And how can you be afraid of your children? We have to ask the question, what did we do to make them stand on street corners and sell dope to their brother and to their sister? And somewhere I have 10 children. If any of my 10 children or all of them had someone held hostage in a convenience store, I would walk in there even if it meant them killing me, because I'm not about to be afraid of my children. Even if they're insane, even if they will murder me, we have to say this in America. These are our children, and we're not going to be afraid of our children. And once we say that, children tend to behave.
Chief Gruber, we look around us and we see a park with children playing. We hear the birds. It's hard for anyone to imagine that just a short year ago this was the scene of some horrible violence, or that there are drug pushers close by. Is this idea of Mr. Gregory's working, and how can you tell?
Well, I think that what Dick Gregory has done is to unify and bring the people together, and that obviously is his persona and his leadership that brings that together, and that's all to his credit, and certainly that helps to bring this community together. It helps to bring us organized together to focus on an issue. What Dick is not going to be able to do, or we as a group are not going to be able to do, is to say unequivocally that we've solved the problem because the children are back in the park, or because the park looks better than it did a year ago, because it's just around the corner that we have the same issues. But it's working because the people are taking hold. And what Dick has said is absolutely correct, that the people will make the difference. Working together, not one unit or one group can't get it done. The churches can't get it done. The police can't get it done. No individual group can do it. Together we can get it done. When you look around, yes, our park is cleaner here. And that's because we're here and the people have started to take back this park. The next step is to start taking back the streets, to start taking back the corners, to start taking back the houses, and for the people to become more involved in their children, in their community, in their churches, in their schools, and in every institution that we have in our communities. And by their participation, that will begin to set the stage of discipline, of understanding, of compassion, of empathy, and a belief in all of the things that we have in our nation that are good, that drugs are bad, that theft is bad, that murder is bad, that all of those things that we've been saying have been bad for a long time are bad. And it comes from us pulling together to make that happen. We arrest people right around the corner here today. We arrested 14 people, not 4 blocks from here. That doesn't mean that we've solved the drug problem. It says that we're attacking the drug problem. It says we've still got the issues are there, but this park is better than it was, and that is something that we can be proud of, that these streets on Thorndale are better than they were. No question in my mind about it. Amen. They can get out there and walk, and the corner over here of Line and 75th is better, and Line and 80th is better. Amen. Everything is better because the people have taken an interest in it and make it better. We get more calls, we get more complaints from citizens, we get more people participating with us and helping to solve those problems. And so for those reasons, I think it's been very successful.
Reverend Green, you're a longtime resident of Shreveport, am I right? This is your home. You were born and raised here. The sale of drugs is very lucrative. We know that. Illegal drugs pay a lot of money.
Right.
Once you clean up the streets, or in your effort to clean up the streets, how do you see your role, or Police Chief Gruber's role, or even a Dick Gregory's role in finding undereducated and unemployed youth something to do to make money after all the lights go out and the cameras go home?
Okay, I feel like once we get the streets cleared up, once we get the sale of dope, then there are companies that will make big investments here. There will be jobs, and we plan to have a educational program for young people and for people, period, to assist them and to help them to be trained to get jobs. We're looking at a wide scope. We're not just saying that we're going to clean the streets up, stop selling dope, but we're going to see about getting your job, and businesses will see that this is a model city, and they'll start investing here, and they'll start bringing their companies here, and therefore everybody gets helped.
But in the meantime, while you're waiting for the big companies, what's going to happen to the young people who are not selling drugs anymore? What are they going to do to make money?
Well, let me say this. You can't substitute that type of money. That's not the type of person you have to employ. I mean, you got people making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a day. I mean, we have to be out of our mind if we think we can satisfy them. I mean, they're going to have to be just locked up and put in jail somewhere for a long time. And we got to worry about those ones that have been seeing that money but never had it. And then talk about going out finding jobs for them. You see, one of the things we cannot do in America is put emphasis on hiring the drug pusher. There cannot be a reward for selling dope, no more than someone who's been raping and murdering, and then we're going to find something for them. What about the millions of people across this country, black and white, that's never had a job, that's never used dope, that's never created a problem? And what Reverend Green said, which shows you the wisdom of this movement, is there's a lot of people that wake up because of this show, because of other shows. We have politicians sitting right here with us now that's here. Now, we can't get jobs. They're the ones that will get the job. They will work with business. They will give these cops a raise. They will decide what their car is going to look like. They will decide if you need a light over there in that park so they can't make drug deals. We can't march and get that. They will have to do that. And what I think you will see across this country is the President of the United States will come. What we need to talk about right now more than jobs is something that this chief's been talking about for a long time, is on-the-site treatment, treatment on demand. I'm worrying about that addict out here, that when you dry these drugs up, that is told in New York City we got a 3-year waiting list. And I think as we turn this around, we will see a lot of things will start happening. And I would hope that that's what we will see happen here, is that people will be employed, companies will come in and look, companies that's here will say, okay, we almost lost our town. We almost lost America. Now we have to drop a little bit of greed. We have to stop looking at the bottom line. Sure, if you look at the bottom line, I might can bring a machine in to deal with 10 jobs over here, but the machine ain't going to use no crack and kill your mama. And so I think that's what we're going to look at is a realignment of priorities in this country. And I think the fact that the church is out here, the church might be brought in. I would like to see a conference on state levels, on a national level, of the people who's been involved in this to see, now what can we do? Here's a man here that's been out here, he's marched, he's been here. When that conference comes up, we will have police who's out here 24 hours a day, who see the horror of it, to sit in that input and say, now, and then we'll see legislation structured to that.
I have a question for the audience. How many of you out here actually live in this immediate area? Okay, that's a lot of people. What was the neighborhood like before Mr. Gregory came out and started the marches every night?
Well, when Mr. Gregory came here from day one, I have been with him from day one. What Mr. Gregory did was this. This is what he has shown me. From day one, he showed me a blueprint, just like you build a house. This house has to be built, so he laid the blueprint. So the blueprint was taken over from my pastor, Dr. Jacobs of the Maywood Evergreen Baptist Church. So what he did was, he gave it back to us and let us know in a right manner in which way we were supposed to go.
Okay, so how has your street changed since he started?
Oh, the street has changed tremendously, because I can tell you why. I hate to go in my vocabulary, but we knew our major maladjustment from there on. And from out here, the Reverend Abraham, we started off with 3, and the Reverend Abraham, we pick up trash on the park every morning. And from that time, when we have lived here from 1952, the kids was playing out here. From 1975, to be perfective about it, from 1975 on, no kids were out here. No kids was out here. And then when Mr. Gregory came, from day one, I shook hands with, I have never known him. From that day, so let me explain it to you. From that day, I accepted him as a comedian. I wanted him to tell me a joke, but he came to me seriously. He said, hey, I came here for business. I mean business.
And now the children are back in the park.
The children are back in the park, and I'm happy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're getting close to time for closing statements here. Mr. Gregory, your final statement on helping the people to take their neighborhoods back. What would you like to tell the rest of the people of the state of Louisiana?
Well, you have to start thinking the same way I thought and have the same intentions, that this is my America, and what happens here, negatively or positive, affects me, and that the fear of drugs is worse than the drug itself. And I remember when I was a child, we were scared of ghosts. And when I would see shadows on the wall, I would scream and holler mommy, and she would run in the room. And a strange thing, when she turned the lights on, the shadows would leave. And all we doing out here is turning lights on. Instead of cussing the dark, the people lit a candle, opened up a flashlight. And when you do that, the shadows leave. And we can do that all over America. We can take this country back from the druggers block by block by block by block. Just that simple.
Reverend Green.
I would say that you have to think in terms of you're doing it for the children, you're doing it for America. And one way to take it back is to say, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. And he also says, if my people which are called by my name would humble themselves, and if they would just pray and seek his face and turn from their wicked ways, then will he hear from heaven, and he'll forgive our sins, and he'll heal our land. And to me, this is healing the land, because we're reaching out to touch the bloody and the dusty.
Chief Gruber.
I think that from a law enforcement perspective, I think that the police of our state and of our community and practically of our nation must become intimately involved with their community, to know their community, to get out and feel the community by participating with it, by talking to the people, by listening, not just with a deaf ear, but a true ear to the people of the community, to sense and know what is really going on in their community so that they can actually do something about it, participate with them, and help them to meet their goals and the directions that they've taken. The police department did not make this movement happen. The people made it happen. It had leadership from Dick Gregory, but the people made it happen. And because those people made it happen, then it's up to us to help them. It's up to us to participate with them. We're behind them, helping them, giving ideas where we can, giving stimulus where we can, and then making that help throughout the community. I think that's got to be our role. That's got to be the role of the law enforcement organizations. And then eventually, I hope, participate to make it all over the nation, block by block if necessary, and helping other police departments learn what we have learned.
In other words, the police department can't do it alone. Would the audience agree?
Yeah.
I know I'm glad to see you out here. I think everybody else is too. Well, we're out of time for today. Thanks for joining us, and thank all of you for being here. I'd also like to say a special thanks to SPAR, the Shreveport Parks and Recreation Department, because without them we would not have chairs or risers. I'd also like to thank Mr. Gregory and his staff, Police Chief Gruber and the Shreveport Police Department, Wes Godfrey from Security National Bank, and all of you who took the chance to come out here in spite of the fact that there was thunder rolling. Thank you very much. Be sure to join us next week for another edition of Folks. Bye-bye.